Oh, we're watching the Trumpers and the MAGA drunk with power saying things out loud and trying to attack their adversaries, threatening to drag their dead bodies through the streets and burn them, and go after the quote-unquote fat-ass Attorney General of New York. That is just recent comments by Attorney General candidate and candidate for the White House counsel's office and maybe for the United States Supreme Court, Mike Davis, who's Donald Trump's favorite. Let's talk about Mike Davis and whether he can get confirmed in a Senate where he makes comments like this, and call him out right here on Legal AF on the new YouTube channel. You're here already. Hit the subscribe button. We're building and rebuilding off of Tuesday, so we have a durable, lasting community linking arms shoulder to shoulder as we plot our path forward to regain power and to regain, frankly, democracy. Take a moment, hit the free subscribe button. I'm Michael Popok, and I'm at the intersection looking at closely Mike Davis, and I see you. Mike Davis, who runs an organization called the Article 3 Project, all he did during the Trump administration was successfully lead the floor vote in the Senate to get over 278 judges and executive branch officers confirmed. Okay? He had been a leading person working under Chuck Grassley, who headed the Judiciary Committee at the time, to get Kavanaugh and Gorsuch confirmed on the United States Supreme Court. He was the floor manager. He was the wrangler of votes for both Gorsuch and Kavanaugh to shepherd them through their confirmation process. Mike Davis is the one that helped craft the response when Kavanaugh particularly was attacked for being a sex abuser, having all of these people come out of the woodwork and want to testify, or Lee Blasey Ford testifying against him at the committee hearing. That successful confirmation, funded by the NRA, Mike Davis. So Mike Davis is not to be, I'm not going to underestimate him. But when he comes out today and on a social media post, he's either saying, and I'm not making this up, this is directly from his Twitter, he wants to drag the dead carcasses of Democrats off of Tuesday's election through the streets, physically, literally, emotionally, and financially, and burn their dead bodies. I think he's disqualified himself from being confirmed as being the Attorney General of the United States on the United States Supreme Court or a White House counsel. And the rest of America should think the same thing. But now, drunk with power, this is what happens when you sweep into office. You get sort of cocky and you say things out loud, like he just attacked the New York Attorney General, Tish James. Now, she held a press conference, which I've reported on, in which she and the Governor Hochul, the governor, Democratic governor of New York, stood shoulder to shoulder and said out loud, basically to Donald Trump, "You want me? I'm right here. Bring it. We're not going to allow retribution, retaliation, weaponization of your Department of Justice. We are going to stand with the people of New York and the free-thinking people of America, and we're going to bring lawsuits where necessary to pin down his vile MAGA policies." That was a press conference with Tish James. She didn't say she's going to weaponize her office, but she did successfully sue the first Trump administration along with other attorney generals over 100 times, and was successful over 80% of the time in order to peel back and roll back his worst policies. And she's planning to do it all over again. There were 1,000 lawsuits filed against Donald Trump's administration the first time. How many multiples of that do you think are going to be filed now? I say 3. I think it's going to be 3,000 lawsuits that are going to be filed by the ACLU, Planned Parenthood, every Democratic state, especially the 17 states that are controlled by Democrats at the legislature and the governorship. And they're going to lead the charge. California, Oregon, and Washington, New York, New Jersey, up to Massachusetts, Maine, and New Hampshire, and DC, they're going to lead the charge. And so when Mike Davis comes out in response to Tish James's press conference, and we all know that Tish James owns real estate inside of Donald Trump's head. She took $450 million judgment. She proved to be a fraudster in New York in a 6-week trial just recently. She's opposed and beaten Donald Trump on the battlefield in his professional life, in his business life for the last 3 years. She knows how to win. She knows how to win against his administration. She did that in 2017 through 2020. And now you got Mike Davis, who's so drunk with power, so cocky, that he says in an interview with a little-known podcaster, Benny, whoever, he says on the Benny podcast, He says about Letitia James, about her fat ass. Here we are, misogyny, attacking women of color, attacking their intellect, attacking their appearance. There's a reason that Donald Trump, and led by Mike Davis, of the 270 positions, okay, only less than 20% were filled by women and less than 14% were filled by minorities. Compare that to the Biden-Harris administration, where over 65% were women and 65% were minorities. And that's because, Mike Davis is a guy that only cares about white MAGA values. And so Mike Davis, who used to clerk actually for Gorsuch as a Supreme Court justice in 2017 after helping him get the job, talk about incestuousness. He had this to say in response to Letitia James as the quote-unquote tip of the spear against the Democratic prosecutors, as Trump Jr. likes to call it. Let me just read you the quote. I don't want to play it. I don't want to give him too much more airtime. Let me just say this to Big Tish James. I dare you to continue your lawfare against President Trump in the second term. Because listen here, sweetheart. We're not messing around this time, and we will put your fat ass in prison for conspiracy against rights. I promise you that. I don't even know what that law is, by the way. And I went to law school, Mr. Davis. Davis warned James to think long and hard before you want to violate President Trump's constitutional rights or any other American's constitutional rights. I don't know what he's talking about. I mean, the attorney generals of the states sued Donald Trump's administration the first time in hundreds of cases, thousands of cases, and won 80% of them. And they're going to do it all over again, Mike Davis. And so for Mike Davis, who said in prior interviews that he's going to lead a reign of terror on behalf of Donald Trump, calling the Attorney General of New York and her fat ass as being and threatening her with jail. This is just recently, too. This is the last couple of days. And having him anywhere near, again, a confirmed position in the cabinet as the Attorney General, Supreme Court, if they try to run him through a confirmation process, even one where the majority is led by Republicans, we're going to rain down public censure and public attack and force them to withdraw that nomination. We'll do it here on Legal AF on the Midas Touch Network. It's happened before. We're going to do it again. Mike Davis isn't going to get anywhere near being a Supreme Court justice or an attorney general or the White House counsel. They might still have him in the background being the puppet of Leonard Leo to pick all the federal justices, federal court positions, and get them filled and get them voted on and get them through, right? But, that's going to have to be, over our dead bodies, to paraphrase Mr. Davis, who says he doesn't want to be attorney general. He wants to be viceroy. I love he uses like old German republic type phrases for the title that he wants. Well, we don't want Mike Davis performing a reign of terror as the tip of the spear for Donald Trump, being a viceroy and trying to put attorney generals like Letitia James in jail. But I don't need to protect Letitia James. Tish James can protect herself. And as I said earlier, she owns real estate in Donald Trump's mind. She knows how to beat Donald Trump. She's deposed him and cross-examined him under oath a number of times. She shut down his business operations effectively. She's got a $450 million judgment that's up on appeal against Donald Trump that she won. And she's beaten him in his prior administration. She's going to beat Mike Davis again. Now, I don't know what all of this buffoonery. Everybody now thinks they're Donald Trump. I got news for them. He has immunity. He was given immunity for the last term. He's got immunity for the new term. These people don't have immunity. If I'm Tish James, I would go sue Mike Davis, right? For defamation, for threats. Why not? The problem with the normalizing of the corporate media is that was reported as just sort of, today, Mike Davis called Letitia James and said she had a big fat ass and should go to jail. In other news, no other news. This is what happened with mainstream media, not independent like Midas Touch and Legal AF. This is what happened towards the end of the campaign when Donald Trump went so far as to have his proxies call Kamala Harris the C word And then literally in the ad, Elon Musk's America PAC ran, spell it out, telling voters they will see you next Tuesday at the election. And that was just reported by mainstream media as it looks like Elon Musk for Donald Trump is calling Kamala Harris a very inappropriate word in tomorrow's weather. Are you effing kidding me? When is corporate media going to grow some balls? I know they want to have the editorial side of the house, right, with talking head commentators, whoever they are, and then they want to have the news reporting. And so the news reporting is stuck with going, instead of saying in a moment of that should be a disqualifier and a shock and an insult to women everywhere, Donald Trump's campaign called Kamala Harris the C word or the B word or whatever word. Can you imagine if a Democrat used the N word? What would happen? And that's because here we fuse editorial and reporting. This is analysis and commentary. Where is the commentary against Mike Davis right now? Don't just report it like it's okay. He called her a fat ass and wants to put her in jail and threatened her. It's just I'm apoplectic. But I'm going to do a deeper dive on the Midas Touch Network on Mike Davis and who he is. Because once we identify the enemy, then we can work in our own way to lobby and to shine a public light and have a public roar go up against the Mike Davises of the world getting anywhere near the White House, the Attorney General position. Are you effing mad? Or the Supreme Court, where he served in 2017 a short time as Gorsuch's law clerk, right? Is this how the Supreme Court justices feel about America, right? And the threats, or is Mike Davis sort of running interference so that Donald Trump can get confirmed slightly less objectionable candidates? Is that what we're down to? Well, at least it's not Mike Davis. It's Jeffrey Clark, who got indicted in Arizona and in Georgia, right, for weaponizing the Department of Justice against America and democracy. And now he's back and going to get a pardon and be our Attorney General. And we're all supposed to say, apparently, at least it's not Mike Davis. F that. I mean, I've had it. I mean, one thing that came out of Tuesday for me, as I accelerated the grief cycle, I'm now in the sharp elbows fight back, okay? They knocked me down on Tuesday, but I got off the canvas. I got up before the mandatory standing 8 count. I wiped my nose. I had the corner and cut man fix me up and patch me up, and now I'm back in the ring. We can't abdicate the marketplace of ideas. The Democrats have to stand there, and we have to do everything we can to rein in the reign of terror that Mike Davis threatens for Donald Trump. Make him the lamest of lame duck presidents on the way in. Shorten the term. Shorten the track. Pin him down in court filings about all of his policies. Go for national blocks, injunctions. Pin that down. Pin him down in Congress. He's only going to have a slight lead, if that, in the House. Use that to our advantage. Have Hakeem Jeffries be the effectively the Speaker of the House for the Democrats, even if the Republicans are in charge, because they can't get anything done without us. That's on the Democrat side. Use the committees, even in the minority position in the Senate, to open investigations, issue subpoenas, issue reports, hold hearings where they can. That's what we're going to look to the leaders of Congress to do that. While we, in our independent media, focus on the Mike Davises of the world so that you're ready. You're ready to object and call your congressman and call your senator and flood the zone to make him not get confirmed. We're on to you, Mike Davis. We're not scared by you, okay? No one's dragging any Democrat's body through the streets. I know you think you live in a third world country led by a dictator, but we live in America. And red, white, and blue still flies over the Capitol for now. We'll continue to follow it all here on the Midas Touch Network. You're already here on Legal AF. Take a moment, be part of this movement and this resistance. We are the Rebel Alliance, and we're going to take down the empire before the second year and the midterm elections, I assure you. Free subscribe, hit the subscribe button, help us build this network, build this channel, build our views. It's important. It's important to everybody. And I appreciate you being here. I'm Michael Popok. Until my next report. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories, the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.